Hello and welcome to Flicks, Films, and Movies. I am Cram Rayamfo, and joining me is Yoj Isquad Nawel. Thank you for joining me.
Hello.
I'm just working codes tonight.
I get it. Man, that video you sent me, not to get ahead of things, but there's a bunch of video essays about this movie, but you sent
Too
one that
many.
I like there's so many things in the first 90 seconds. So okay, so Mulholland Drive, David Lynch is like everything you need to know is in there. It's like in the first 2 minutes or whatever. And like the first 2 minutes is the old couple dancing. It's like, how is this the key to the movie or whatever? Here, there's like so much in that coffee shop, and like before the coffee shop, it's just like the shirt that says Under the Silver Lake and like the animal logo.
There's way too many codes in this movie. And I was going to open up this instead of saying our names backwards and mixing everything up and giving people codes. I was thinking about doing an entire episode with just secret messages, but that's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
And then, I mean, they might still be in here. Now, Joey, this film,
Uh-huh.
I've talked about it with nobody ever. No one,
Oh.
I've never even chatted with anybody about it ever. So here we are.
Uh-huh.
And this is the kind of film that I found this really interesting review from the Wall Street Journal. The writer basically was saying that they hated on it before they didn't even give it a shot. And they said that this film deserves better than a half considered dismissal, which this film's supposed to come out in 2018. Got kind of a bad con screening. It was kind of like Southland Tales-esque, where some people clapped, other people are like, yeah, nah. And so they're like, okay, we'll push back. And then they push it back again. And so this movie had bad buzz, I think, when it came out, then it didn't get a theatrical release. So I think when it came out, people already kind of didn't want to put up with it. And so because of all the delays, I think the bad buzz built. And so by the time that we're introduced to Andrew Garfield as Sam in this film, I think everyone's just kind of like, I don't want to deal with this guy for 2.5 hours. No one like aside from the people who found it later and did it, an incredible amount of video essays that I went down
Hmm.
a rabbit hole. I was like the comic book artist in this one. I was just listen to all of them.
Speaking of Mulholland Drive,
Yeah. And you know, it it just I don't think it had a chance. And I think a lot of people really hated it before it hit the screens. Like, does that make sense? I mean, I know you've liked it for a long time,
yeah.
but this movie
So
was met with like this dude got put in director's jail. This movie only cost $8 million. Typically, you go into director's jail for like two flops that cost 80 million each. This guy went in director's jail for about 6 years because of an $8 million budgeted film. That's how much people didn't like it.
wait, is this another in our series of like Babylon Director's Jail?
After Hours, Scorsese
Mhm.
was in director's jail. Babylon, yeah, totally.
So I loved It Follows so much.
Yeah.
And then when I heard that he was making like a neo-noir set in LA with Andrew Garfield, I'm just like, okay. And then as you said, like it just kept getting delayed. I copied from Wiki the verbatim. The film was originally scheduled to be released in the US on June 22nd, 2018, but on June 4th, 18 days before, was pushed back to December 7th, 2018. The theatrical release was then pushed back to April 19th, 2019, and 3 days later was available to stream.
Hmm.
And so I love going to movie theaters. I would have seen this opening night. Um, I will admit that in December somehow it just like wound up online, like on
Hmm.
a Plex server I have access to. And I was just like, oh, and so I just watched it at home before like anyone was allowed to see it, basically. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know who uploaded. I don't know who downloaded whatever. But I was like in on a secret, which feels kind of appropriate for this movie, like that I'm in on something that no one else is in on, and I loved it. But I also, I've talked about this. I have a couple friends who really like it, but I've never really talked in depth about it. And I feel like the guy who made It Follows, starring a guy who seems to be at the top of his game right now,
Yeah, he was
like
hot. He was hot at the time.
this should be seen by more people. And I feel like there's a lot of people who love it, but a lot of people who hate it for maybe valid or invalid. I don't know, but I'm surprised this is not more popular because I think it's great. I think if you're like, I hate this movie, I hate everything about it, I'm like, yeah, I get it. But like also, I think it's great.
Here's the thing. I would be surprised if this was a massive success. I would be surprised if this even pulled 40 million at the box. If this thing pulled 33 million dollars at the box office, I would have considered that like a pretty big hit. And but I also I would be surprised if it was a hit. But it's also kind of sad that people didn't give it a chance. Like you
Uh-huh.
read some of the reviews and people are like, oh, it's just Pepe Le Pew running around like an idiot around LA looking for clues, and it's all pointless, and he's just a womanizer. And at the time, I think Me Too was really big, and listen, it absolutely should have happened, and it
Mm-hmm.
needs to happen. And I'm like, Support the Girls is a movie I love, and Regina Hall said that when it came
Mm-hmm.
out, people are like, I don't want to go watch that. It's just a bunch of like lady Hooters ladies, like they didn't want to go see it, and she's like, no, like this is a good movie, go
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
And so I think people's mindsets, and like when movies get delayed, and I don't know, this movie, I was listening to a British movie critic, Mark Kermode. He was talking about it, and he was like, yeah, it's Southland Tales. So I guess all the critics walked out of it and were just like, it's Southland Tales. Now, they're both very self-indulgent. uh, I think this one's a little bit more accessible, but I would not call this Southland Tales at all. But I just think that was what everyone thought about it. It's just kind of, but also, you made a movie. David Robert Mitchell made a 139-minute film about a smelly scuzzbag driving around LA, just meeting people, and then it just turns out, spoilers, like people are just in the bunkers because rich dudes can afford three hot women to be buried with and be gods, which is essentially like celluloid, which is like producers were doing. And it's a whole commentary on all that. But this movie's so hyper specific to the LA hipster scene, so hyper specific to how terribly women have been treated in the film industry. You have a hero who, I wouldn't even call him a hero, who is just a total smelly dirtbag who eventually he's a voyeur, but he maybe figures it out at the end. It's like, this is it's I was gonna text you, but I want to save this for the podcast episode where it's like, who's this movie for?
So I texted you that I said, I think, I don't know when this is going to come out, but we're recording it, within a week of Trump being reelected. And I feel like there was a backlash to this movie that like it was for like, for lack of a better phrase, like toxic incels. Like it seems to be glorifying this behavior of like, no, there's secrets in this world and I'm an important. And it feels like you can look at it
uh
like that, but it's also kind of making fun of that guy. Like even if in the end he is right, what does he get from it?
he's not even that right though. Like, he's right, but it's nothing. She's like, well, I'm here, peace. Like, I didn't even know you, I'm gonna go enjoy this now. Like, and you're right. Like, I think this does look for this thing where people look for codes and all that. But yeah, he does find something, and at the end, it's pointless. And it's like there's really no answer that you're gonna find. And at the end, when the parrot quacks, he's like, "Rawr!" It's like, what noise did that parrot make? Like, so at the end, he gets with this lady who's always naked, and she has
Hmm.
parrots, and her rabbit, and her parrot is like says something unintelligible, and she's like, I don't know. And he's like, yeah, it's cool, I'm going to bed. So it's like he maybe seemed to like break a pattern of like seeing everything as a code. So like that could be good. But no, I don't take this as like an incel thing. I definitely think it's making I think it's definitely pointing towards people like this, but I don't think it's like glorifying it. And I don't think people are going to Tyler Durden this film. I don't think. And it
What do you mean by that?
well, when people watch Fight Club,
Yeah.
they were like, man, Tyler Durden is my hero. It's like, no, dude, like, Gordon Gekko is not your hero in Wall Street. Like, Tyler Durden is not your hero in Fight Club. Uh, in American Psycho, Christian Bale is not your hero. I think people took that the wrong way. I think they like worship this like ultra male who is like all things chaos, and it's like, no, no, you don't want that. Like, don't like that. But I think there are people out there who really took Fight Club to heart. Like, yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm a disaffected whatever male, and I deserve more, and I blah 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 blah. But I think people, instead of just enjoying the film, they took after him. I don't think anyone's going to look at Sam and be like, Sam is my Tyler Durden, or Sam is my Travis Bickle, or does that make sense? Like, I don't think anybody's out there loving this guy. He's a smelly skunk dude,
Who also
and
might be a dog murderer.
who also,
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
he's also a dog murderer. He can't pay his rent. One of my favorite moments in this film is, so this guy, Sam, he's kind of suffering from a breakup. He sees his girlfriend's face on this billboard. He can't pay his rent. He smells. Whenever he hooks up with women, he always like kind of does it from the back, which is like dog killer, and he's doing that kind of like doggy style. So like there's
Ooh.
parallels to that. So he's just a smelly dude who like meets a lady, and then she disappears. He's like, I need to find her because she's my soulmate. And you're like, bro, he's just
He's not to be envied?
yeah, like there's nothing enviable about this guy. Like, and also too, it's funny is like, but there's also some really neat things where they go to boot him out of his house, and he's just like a nice normal dude. Like he'll show up to the party with a white shirt, and people are like, "Nice shirt, man." And they and the cop, she just looks at him. She goes, "Okay, I'll give you one more day." Like this
Mm-hmm.
guy goes into every LA party. He isn't stopped. He smells. He's just a good looking white dude, and everyone's like, "Yeah, you can have a little bit more time." It's like there's humor in that,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just not like he hates homeless people. But I don't think there's anything really like there's nothing to latch onto with this guy. I think it's a really interesting character because characters can be flawed,
Sure.
but I just think a lot of people didn't want to put the work in for this film, but that's fine because he asked the viewer to make a lot of work. Like this is a lot of work, this film. And so I think David Robert Mitchell maybe reaped a little bit what he sowed because this is not accessible. And I think it can't all the delays. So I don't know. I know why it failed, but I'm just bummed that a lot of people didn't give it a chance. But I still like it. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm also sort of surprised, and maybe I shouldn't be surprised that like this is only his third movie. Like he's got the Myth of the
Yeah.
American Sleepover, and then he's
Yeah.
got It Follows, and he's got this. And he kind of almost recreates part of the Myth of the American, like when they go to the
Yeah, the
Hollywood
screening.
Undead ceremony, cemetery, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like Sydney Sweeney, before she's like Sydney Sweeney, is there in the movie and in the as a shooting star. Like he's basically remaking his first movie in his third movie, which could have been his last movie until he's like, I'm going to make a sequel to the movie that everybody loves. It's just like, oh, okay. Like there's something strange. Like he seems so prolific and important, and maybe that's just to me because I love It Follows again so much. But like, I don't know.
Here's the thing about It Follows though. It's such an easy high concept film.
Yep.
So a girl sleeps with a dude, she gets cursed by a demon that catches her. And then throughout the way, there's really neat mythology. So if she dies, it goes back. Rules are laid because you know what's nice about It Follows. You need to go to the person before you to get the rules. Like if you find you're like, yo, what did you do to me? So it's a really great way to just stop dump expository dialogue in a naturalistic way. I made a like I made a great name for myself with It Follows. Like I figured out how far the creature
Oh, that's
follows.
true. That's
Like that
true.
was huge for me. And then I did a video for film theory. And then like that movie's just huge. And the soundtrack is awesome. Micah Monroe's incredible. There's a swimming pool fight. It's such a brilliant idea that there's always dread because it's always and it's so simple though. Like in
Hmm.
at its core, the movie is crazy simple. Under the Silver Lake, though, like it could be high concept. Dude meets a girl, she disappears, he hunts her down. It's like classic noir, and like most noir characters, like Bruce Willis and like what what's that? The Last Boy Scout or any Sam Spade or any of these guys. Are, oh man, I was in the, I was at the top of my life. My wife left me. I'm doing a southern accent now. I can't even do like a bogey. But it's like, yeah, I was doing great. I was doing great. I was doing great. But my wife left me. I took the drink. Now I work in this one. My office is a one room private detective thing. And then here she came. I could feel the trouble walking in the door, like, and then he gets in a ton of shit. So it's like I think that to do a noir, your character kind of has to be stepping in it in the beginning. And then the character learns from there. But I guess the problem is this movie, there's a lot. There's an artist who writes everything, which actually happens. Like I've been talking about that for years. Like 40-year-old dudes write most of like Katy Perry stuff. So you're like, all right, cool. And then you have Hollywood starlets who like with balloons, and then you have so many secret codes in this movie. Like if you look at the names of the animals, they spell things out. There's Morse code. Like it's
Hmm.
crazy.
Hmm.
So this is not accessible. I think It Follows is very easy. Um, this one is not. But listen, it's 8 million though. Like I don't like. I think Damien Chazelle should be in more director's jail for Babylon than he should for this one. But for some reason, it didn't. It worked the other way around. So it's just this movie was met with a lot of pissed off people, Joey, um, which is kind of a bummer. But it's also very self indulgent. But it's not as self indulgent as people say. I've listened to way too many video essays about this movie, Joey. I've had this movie swimming in my brain for a while, but I'm so glad we picked it. I'm trying to work out my thoughts because it's the first time I've ever talked to somebody about it.
How many times have you seen this movie now?
Twice.
Okay.
Yeah, and it. You know what's interesting? I don't care about any of the codes in this movie, like all the words spelled backwards, because none of them really mean. It's not really important, and it's so open ended. I guess I just The biggest problem I think I have, it starts and stops a lot. So you really wear the running time, but I think you should because this movie's supposed to make you exhausted. But it's a movie that I admire. I just I don't think it was ever going to be successful. And I think David Robert Mitchell only made this. He wrote this film in 2012 before It Follows hit. And he also said it's not a conventional 3 act structure. He basically explained it as Maniac Mansion and like the Monkey Island series that were like graphic adventure games. And then someone said it's Michelangelo Antonioni meets The Secret of Monkey Island. So I mean, you're making this movie, and I'm gonna let you talk. I just think this thing is very unwieldy, but it's quite you should have a little bit of admiration for it and at least try to understand it.
I think it's easy to hate this movie or
Yeah.
be annoyed by it. Like it is really, really long, but I also think that like, Paul Thomas Anderson makes Inherent Vice, which I know is based on the novel, right? By Pynchon. And like that's essentially like, he runs in circles for 2.5 hours and gets nowhere, right? Like it's the same thing. But because that guy has 2 decades of success behind him, people give him the benefit of the doubt and they're like, this is a masterpiece. Um,
Wow.
but it's the same thing, right? Like it's the same.
He's a complete bozo.
Mhm.
There's like some spanking action in it. He gets leveled a lot. He's just kind of a loser. But you're right, it's PTA, not David Robert Mitchell. That's interesting. And do you think people like to tear down young filmmakers? Like he had such a huge hit, and then he came out with this one, and it was just so big and grandiose. I think he really does draw parallels to Southland Tales in this movie. Like you make these badass features, and then you come out with these gigantic California tales that are just very unwieldy and both kind of flop at con and both get delayed. And it's a bummer. And with big name stars in it. But it's like I just don't know why Hollywood didn't let this guy dust himself off after an $8 million flop.
I mean, I also, not to downplay what you're saying, but like, I don't know that people do hate this movie, but it's not like people are out there in these streets like talking about how
Yeah, yeah.
bad this movie is. Like, just people aren't talking about it, which is almost more of a disservice.
That's a great point. Yeah, no one really, but I don't think many people have watched it. Do you know a lot of people that have seen this film?
No. Well, I think that's
Yeah.
also the issue of the whole it's gonna come out, it's not gonna come out, it's gonna come out, it's not gonna it's just oh, then it's streaming. Like I think who knows? Maybe if this comes out, because also 2019 being dumped on VOD is a different thing than after
Yeah, a year
COVID.
later.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
just like, oh, this is how we want to watch movies. Or, I mean, not everybody, but like a lot of people like want to watch movies at home, or like at least you're like, I get it. But
I
to
was
have like a beautiful looking follow up to a indie success with a star the lead, another rising star in the supporting role in Riley Keough, like 2019 is just like, well, why is this? Why don't they trust it? But
yeah,
it comes out in April 2020. They're like, okay, cool. So then watch at home.
this stops on Netflix and people are talking about it. But I really do. You're right, and also this is gorgeous. Like I think that Michael Geolakis, like he shot Sasquatch Sunset, another Riley Keough movie. He's done a lot of work with M Night Shyamalan. He shot Us. It
Sasquatch
Follows.
Sunset is so good.
Old, yeah. It's like yeah, it's really good. There's been some like good like Into Dark, like was it Into the Darkness and Sasquatch? Like there's been some cool kind of really unique films coming out in 2024, and I love it. But I mean, this movie, great cinematographer. The score is really good. I mean, like even his apartment, the production designer was talking about how a lot of the apartments in LA are old. So the apartment in a different some are from some parts of the apartment from the 30s, some are from the 50s, some are from the 70s. Like the bathroom's all green, and like these old apartments just keep getting renovated pieces at a time through the decades, and then they look like every single decade
Hmm.
inside. And it's like really interesting. And he even said that like he said the movie's so dense he doesn't know all of the like the Easter eggs that they put in here. Like he just and also like the Hitchcock thing. Everyone thinks that the Samuel Hitchcock's grave in the film means something, but they were just there that night and like, oh, shoot that. So I think people are like really looking for everything in this film, but some of it was just like a happy accident. But then it's also dense. Uh, but you know what's interesting though is this movie this movie doesn't it doesn't do enough to people to really like hate. I think you're right. It's not terrible, and it but it also had bad buzz, and I think a lot of people couldn't connect with it on a first viewing because you have to dig deeper into it. So maybe that's what created the no buzz, or like just nah, like I'm done with this. But it's just a really interesting case study. To like, even Babylon, we talked about Babylon. Just that was in director's jail for a little bit
Uh-huh.
after that. So we love director's jail movies.
Uh-huh.
But more often than not, though, they are very ambitious,
Yeah.
and you can't hate this movie for the ambition it has.
I think people also maybe feel stupid while watching this. Like I think people could that they're like, oh, there's so many clues here, and instead of trying to figure it out, although I don't think you have to figure it out. I think you can just
No,
watch it on face value.
yeah,
But I think people might be like, this is annoying. I don't want to have to figure this out. I'm going to yell about it instead. Like there's the whole like Riley Keough in the pool in that dream sequence is recreating Marilyn Monroe and Something's Gotta Give, which is a deleted scene or an outtake or something. Like I watched like a couple things about that. I'm like, what is this? What? But then there's also How to Marry a Millionaire, a different Marilyn Monroe movie in the movie, and the dolls are next to it, and the dolls below the dolls have the cipher, the Zodiac cipher. And like there's all this different stuff, and just like, well, what are you doing here? And so like, is Riley Keough playing Marilyn Monroe? Like, kind of. Does that matter? Not really, but kind of. It could if you wanted to.
you don't need to pursue any of these mysteries,
No.
and I don't. The only reason I learned about these mysteries is because I went, I just started. I have to research the movie. But I mean, like, so like he talks about what copial graffiti, and then and then they look at the coffee menu, and then the graffiti translates to coffee menu. There's Morse code in this movie during the fireworks.
That was crazy. Like
Uh,
now knowing that the fireworks that she sees, like, go to the mountain or ascend the mountain or whatever the code is, like now that I know that there is sound there, I'm like, oh, that's very clearly like you can tell that that's like a language, right? But like if you don't know that those sounds are communicating something, you're like, that's just fireworks. And
same.
it can just be just fireworks. Like it's okay for it just to be fireworks or for you to just assume that it's just fireworks.
But I do think the problem with this movie is like, oh, fireworks, or she goes, oh, your shirt. Like they make comments that when you hear them, you kind of like, okay, they mean something here. But then also he loves video games where you go hunt for something and it's meaningless. So it's like, why even hunt?
Well,
Why
I think
don't?
that's the whole point. Like
Yeah,
he finds meaning in everything. And also like that this is another thing for one of those video essays where it's like he gets a parking ticket or whatever, and instead of paying it, he just writes a code on the back. Like he's just like he see like the way that he could actually improve his life is right in front of him, but he chooses to find other things. So like,
yes, yes.
does the bracelet that he gets actually mean Nintendo Power Magazine #1, pages 35 to 37, or does that mean just like non something something like in some hospital code? You know what I mean? Like, who knows? But the fact that like it becomes something, sure. I think what I think the lesson to take away from this movie maybe is like it's okay to do this, but don't let it like ruin other people's lives. Like try not to let it ruin your life, but like don't hurt other people. If you want to like throw your life down the drain pursuing leads and building secret passageways in your home where you keep nudie magazines and like cereal from the 80s because the cereal from the 80s includes a map of Silver Lake or whatever, right? Like, cool, as long as you're not hurting other people.
Absolutely. And
I don't
he's
know.
like, but like these guys do hurt other people though. Like they're beating up band people. Like he's quite the swinger. He beats up those children, like a fighter. He
That's
beats up the
that's so
kids.
crazy.
Like he beats. I mean, these kids are little punks, but he like
I know,
nails
but he
those kids.
shoves an egg in the kid's mouth and then punches him in the face, and then the other kid comes over just to see what's going on. He like kicks the shit at him. Like it just, man.
He's violent. He's like entitled. He's always stoned.
Hmm.
But yeah, then he goes on this mission, and people end up dead. Like that. Like I guess there's an owl lady killing people, or they represent suicide, or they.
Well, the
Yeah.
owl lady is the shooting star, isn't that her?
Oh, because I guess it's a different actress according to the like
Oh,
IMDb.
I assumed like the hairstyle
Oh,
that like I think it's all like there's also like Zosia Mamet in there who
yeah.
is like a later incarnation of a like you were saying before That like these rich billionaires who like you said they're gods, but like he literally calls himself like a king, like I'm entombed like a king. It's just like
Yeah.
okay, but like there's harems of three women, and like one group basically takes care of the previous one, and then I guess they are taken care of by the I don't know. But then there's also like the shooting stars who the one that he sleeps with or at least calls as a call girl and Sydney Sweeney and then Balloon Girl who like Grace Van Patten has been like she's been in this thing like she's like on the rise, but every time I see her I'm just like it's Balloon
Balloon
Girl.
Girl. It's a great role.
It's a really good role.
Balloon Girl's cool, and she's very
How does she
memorable.
not know what's the frequency Kenneth though?
I
I mean
mean,
she's young, I get that, but she's like I don't know this song.
if I told any of my students what's a frequency Kenneth, they wouldn't know it.
Ugh.
They wouldn't. But like, even that song was picked on purpose
Mm-hmm.
because it's old. Then he was like dancing, and
It was
it's
also like what's it like he's like frequency like tapping into thing, you know what I mean? Like the whole like
there's so much, and the dollars. Like he doesn't have a dollar, so they're saying the owl lady doesn't kill him, but the other guy has money. Like there's dollar bills everywhere. Like why don't you just give him a dollar? But also too, like when you feel like someone's trolling you, just don't even pay attention to it. Like I noticed that a lot in the movie, and I'm the first time I was like, I'm just gonna let it hit me. I don't even know about any of this. And then I watched it again and did research. And I was like, oh, okay. Like this is where I don't need that though. Like, is that it's not even important? So does that mean like what point is he do we
I don't think
know
there is
what
a point. I think what's the
yeah.
point? I think the point is there is no point, and you as the viewer can fall down the same rabbit hole that Andrew Garfield's character does in this movie, and still wind up in a place where you're like, "Hey, I solved that thing." But like, so I don't know if this is just because I went to the subreddit, but like when I Googled "dependable as sunshine" to see if that actually was a Coca-Cola phrase, like a tagline, which it was, 1953. But even before like Coca-Cola Museum or the history of Coca-Cola or whatever comes up, the top hit, at least for me, in Google was the movie subreddit. So like they might have adjusted the results because I had previously been looking for Under the Silver Lake stuff or whatever. But if that's not the case, like the fact that this movie has usurped Coca-Cola when searching for Coca-Cola history is crazy. But like, what does that mean? Nothing. But like, if you want to have fun with it, go for it. Like, I think the movie's multitude of clues and rabbit holes and whatever are there for you to find. Like, I don't think there's some grand meaning here. And if it is, it would be so weird if, like, there was a grand secret here in a movie about decoding grand secrets and things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. You can't have a grand secret. But you
Like,
can have some kind of secret, right?
there's the songwriter who has written like every big song or whatever, and he's like inputting these codes in there and like it's telling people what to do or whatever. But like, you're not going to write a song. Like, if that guy was real, like, and like he was actually putting codes for billionaires and whatever to not just know like the best restaurants like Ricky Lindholm says, but like to actually know like where the tunnels are to be entombed like a king with a young harem of beautiful young girls. Like you wouldn't write a song about, hey, there's a songwriter and I'm writing codes and songs. Like I don't think that this movie has meaning that like is uncovering the way of the world because the movie is about codes and meanings uncovering the way of the world. You know what I mean? Like it'd be a weird, like real in your face kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
to be so brazen about it. Although maybe that's the perfect reason why you would.
Be so brazen about it.
Yeah, just be like, they would never do that. Like, well, they might. I don't know, man.
You know what the problem is though? When he gets the songwriter, that's not shocking for me. It's like yeah, I've written every song. Yeah, no crap. Like you think most of the major artists wrote their song. Like there's so many prolific songwriters out there. So like I'm not sure what that doesn't really blow my mind. But I think you know what I did like about this movie is this guy takes three women with him to die so he can be a king.
Hmm.
Like, you know the auditions in gross garages, the just the way that women are kind of disposable like in this film. You know, I think a lot of people wrote this off as like, you know, Andrew Garfield's Pepe Le Pew, and he's just stinky and he's a skunk and he's just like womanizing and doing all this. But I do think it has something to say though about Hollywood, about how he gets into every single room anywhere in the world and he can get away with all of his rent. But then there's a lot of women who they're in one movie, but then they're forced to go into like prostitution or they're in a harem or like it's I think that's what's interesting. But I think the problem of when you have one core idea, you can build on the characters. But when you have about 40 different threads and about 35,000 different codes, nothing can really get focused on. So this movie kind of touches on a lot of things, or maybe it doesn't. Who knows what it's saying because it has so many different reads. But I guess the one problem is when there's no core to this film and so much is left open for interpretation that like that's kind of a really interesting way to make that film. And I mean, and he even said it like he wants to like, David Robert Mitchell loves film from all around the world. He's like, I love cinema through all the decades, from all over the world, from the highbrow to the lowbrow. I'm interested in exploring these, trying to reinterpret them and put a personal stamp on them. So he's taking cinema from all through the decades. He's taken all these different, he's done a lot of research. He has a lot of characters. He has a lot of meaning, but then it's like in one movie. That's really hard sometimes. So I think distill, but I think he did it well enough for people who just want to watch it like just with their lizard brain, they can. But if they want to dig into it, they can. So it's hard to really for me to dislike this film, even though I fundamentally don't understand why he made it. um, I don't know. I keep going in circles, but maybe this movie's going in
Well,
circles.
it does feel like you said he wrote it in 2012, which feels like what was he writing it in response to? Like that was pre Me Too, that was
Yeah.
pre-Trump, that was pre a lot of things that like people can sort of ascribe meaning to while watching it 5 years ago or today. But like, what was he? To your point, what was he? Why did he? Why did he make this movie? Like, what was the story he was telling? Or did he just want to tell like a? Did he see the tea leaves? Did he read the tea leaves and say, "Hey, people aren't talking about like being unfair to women in the way that they should. I'm going to do something about that."
Well, so that's a great question. So I found some interviews from him. He's like, I wrote this in 2012 and I kind of set it aside, but I felt it was something we should put out as soon as possible. In the sense, there was the feeling as I was writing it of a shadow rising. That's a feeling within the film. We're at a point now where it's no longer rising. These shadows are covering us all. They're dancing. And he's like, and it's nightmarish. But yes, it's that feeling that these elements are there in the corners. Whereas now, certainly in the US, they're out in the open. It's like everyone has these theories now, QAnon and like they're all
Well, I
out
guess
there.
also like I guess like the whole like the Harvey Weinstein or whatever of it
Yeah.
like was not a secret in 2012. It's just that maybe people watching movies did not know about it, right? But like
Yeah. Maybe that's another reason this probably wasn't one like people didn't want to really touch it because that wasn't out yet.
it's also like to release it like so close to Me Too is tough timing, maybe
Yeah.
in
Oh
terms
yeah.
of like
Yes.
possible toxic brand, like the right thing to do, but also like maybe let's not touch that right now.
And I mean, the problem is they had made it, right? And then it just came out the worst possible time. And I don't think people wanted to like and I'm serious. Like sometimes I think when movies come out, like remember after 2001 and 2001, like Zoolander, everyone hated it because it featured an assassination attempt. Just I think sometimes the public has this. Listen, I am fully for Me Too, right? It needs to happen. It still needs to continue to happen. But like I think sometimes, like after 2001 and after certain time periods, like when a movie has something, it can kind of unfairly be attached to all that, like support the girls, like Regina Hall said. And so I don't think it was a great time. I really don't because like he's not a good dude, and I think people I think just Weinstein and all of that, and like then you have this character. Um, yeah, I mean, actually, it makes Scream 3 seem a lot cooler because that movie actually touched on a lot of it, but that's the least popular of all the Scream movies, so that's interesting. No, Scream 3, but no, I think it was bad timing. I think the delay hurt it. Also, David Robert Mitchell said he wrote the first script in like a month. That kind of worries me. The first draft was written quickly. He's like on a lot of caffeine. So the dream logic comes from his subconscious. So I certainly wonder about it. I like the idea of not completely understanding it. So he said he wrote it really quickly while just jacked up on caffeine. And a lot of it came from his subconscious and he doesn't understand it, which feels right. I know that went through rewrites, but this definitely feels like a caffeine consumed written person who had lived in LA and kind of hates it and maybe had some tough times in Hollywood. Like this doesn't come from like a happy place.
No, but like, does any art really come? Like, does any good art really come from a happy place?
No, that's a good point. No, I mean I feel like some of the best art is angry. I would say like
Hmm.
Cabin in the Woods is a great horror movie because like at the time, I mean Joss Whedon, I'm like I say it's the best, but they were just kind of pissed off at horror audiences, and you could feel it in the movie, and I think that's great. But it's not like it's just one dude's anger, like, and he's just and it's so specific about LA that I think that when it goes over a lot of people's heads, like just a random person watching this, they're gonna miss a lot of the references. They're probably gonna miss a lot of like the songwriter stuff because they haven't thought about that yet. So that's why, like, who is this for? Like, if someone said to you, like, you're in the marketing department, you're A24, you're new there, and they get under the Silver Lake, and they're like, listen, man, good luck, and they give you this movie. How do you market it to audiences?
I think you have to ride the. Well, I think there's three things you can do. You can ride from the director of It Follows.
Hmm.
I think you can ride just the Andrew Garfield of it all. And I think you can also just be like, I think people like a noir, a detective, maybe not everybody, but there's a lot of popular movies in that genre. It's not the most popular genre, but it's a movie that like, or a genre that like is usually pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I think when those movies fail, it's because like there's a twist or something that like doesn't work. And like
Mm-hmm.
there's no twist in here. Like the twist is that there is no twist, kind of, right? Like there is everything is both exactly what he thinks it is and also not at all that. It's not like, oh, Riley Keough was actually the dog killer and she wasn't around because she was like hiding from the cops. It's like, no, she just like she followed the firework, the SOS code in the fireworks, and okay.
Yeah. And then she, yeah, was set in a bunker, and she's like, well, I got a few months left, I might as well enjoy it. And he's like, yeah, I guess I should too. And then he sleeps with the bird lady, and he's kind of
I
happy.
think you have to like I think it's mostly for well, I don't know. I think it's for young people, either like dudes who maybe like want to be Andrew Garfield, girls who are in love with him, but I don't think they would like the movie. You could just sell it to them. And then I think older dudes who like this is a dude's movie. I don't
Yeah.
think this is a movie made for women.
No.
Not that they
Like,
can't enjoy it, but
I don't think women would watch this and enjoy it. Like, yes, I know that we are treated terribly in Hollywood. I know that we are
right.
like it's not a movie you sit there and go, yes, this is awesome. Like Megan was watching women talking, and she's like, yes, I know all this.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's like, thanks, movie, for just talking about all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, uh, yeah, this is a movie for dudes. Like, I would have marketed this like if you and I are on a team, I would have just in the trailer, just so many people telling him that he stinks. Like, I'm sorry, but you smell right now. And like just maybe like pointing him out as like this isn't a good dude. Like he's looking for this woman, but he is just a smelly little bugger. And then like help us uncode the mystery of like what's under the Silver Lake, you know?
Well, what if you did it like they did Cloverfield, where there's like an alternate reality game?
Oh, like an AR. Oh yeah, I love an ARG.
Like that's got to be the way that you do it, because then you like get people invested, and even if they don't like the movie, they feel like they solved the mystery.
I mean, that's what Dark Knight did. They that then that made that movie made like the marketing campaign that they did at Comic-Con was huge, like wildly influential. So I mean, yeah, if you put out clues, I mean, this is A24, and A24 is
Mm-hmm.
pretty hot in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I really feel like they just dumped this thing. Con was bad, and then they just kept dumping it. And then like the trailers were basically just like Riley Keough looking awesome in a swimming pool. That's all I remember from the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't really touch upon like, hey, this is a 2 hour and 20 minute neo noir mystery that harkens back to Vertigo and Chinatown. You know, the dirtbag hero hunts down this woman, and then shenanigans happen, and like look for the codes. But I mean, that still wouldn't make money. But like A24 marketed It Comes at Night as a straight up horror film, and that is not another Riley Keough movie. That is not a straight up horror film. So they're
Well,
kind of shameless.
I've seen in the last couple of months like sort of a pushback
Yeah.
toward A24. They're like, why are you like, it feels like this brand that was bulletproof, and I think it's still like really good, and I still really like almost everything I see by them. They like just choose not to market some of their stuff,
Yeah.
or they do it in a weird way. And I
Like,
get that it's harder when when you start out and you have like four movies, like it's easy to get those right. Like if you have creative people and the product is good, you have the quality control to make sure that the marketing of these four movies is really good. But then when you're putting out like three movies a month or whatever, for I don't know what the actual number is, but like a lot, it's harder to make sure that they're all like at that same level. And I remember what were the movies this year that they put out?
like Sing Sing got nothing, and
Hmm.
Coleman Domingo is incredible in it. Like that's a movie that should be getting serious awards buzz, but they didn't really even release it in theaters. I think they're more into pushing like Heretic, The Front Room. Like I think they're more into pushing their horror films because they're trying to expand, and I think they need these horror movies to like bolster their box office.
Like A Different Man basically got nothing.
No,
Janet's
nothing,
Planet basically got nothing.
nothing. Like, yeah.
Problemista got nothing. Civil War feels like
Oh
they were even
yeah.
just like, I'm not sure. But then like to your point, Heretic's getting a lot. We Live in Time is getting a lot. The Front Room got a lot, even though it seemed like nobody really liked The Front Room.
No, that did not do well. Yeah.
And they put all of their eggs in the Maxine basket, right? Like there's and like that's not
Yeah.
a bit. I mean, you got to pick and choose your battles, but like I don't know. I feel like
They went hard on Love Lies Bleeding.
the movie was strange.
The problem is they're so stretched out now.
Yeah.
How can you market all these? Like I
Like
don't think you
if you look at
can.
when they first launched in 2013, the first two movies were like smaller, did not get a super big push, but it was Roman Coppola's Glimpse Inside the Mind of Charles I III and Sally Potter's Ginger and Rosa, right? But then that year they hit on in a big way Spring Breakers, Bling Ring, and Spectacular Now.
Yeah.
And then the next year, that's all they did in 2013. I mean, like, again,
Cool
five movies is
movies.
a lot, but then Enemy, Under the Skin, Locke, Obvious Child, The Rover, Life After Beth, Tusk, Laggies. Like, so the last couple are not as good, but like the first like four or five of those are like hit, 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 or at least like
Yeah.
great movie, great movie, great movie. Know what you're going to see. I don't know. But then, yeah, they're doing, a couple a month
It's
in
watering the
April
brand
2019
down.
alone. Again, this got pushed around, but High Life, Native Son, and this all came out in April 2019.
Wow.
So I don't know.
And it was just whenever movies are dumped on VOD, it's just never good.
No.
Like it's just like I feel like they really threw this movie out to kind of pasture. I do. Like they didn't really give it a chance. It seemed like after Khan, I think they told David Robert Mitchell to go edit it. So I guess they're like, listen, man, you gotta you gotta change this up. So he went back and edited it, and then I think they gave him some time to make it more audience friendly, and then they just sort of dumped it. But I think,
Well, I think the difficult thing is that when you have a director who seems to be very particular, has only made three movies in like 12 years, it feels, and again, maybe this is the same thing. It feels like everything is intentional. It may be just like, it'd be fun to make. I have the screenplay done. I don't know.
yeah,
He hasn't made a movie since. He's only making They Follow, which comes out next year, which I'm so excited about.
I mean, it's smart that he's going back to the well. It's a reset. Like actors, like directors, sometimes need that reset. And yes, he probably should have went back to that sooner. But yeah, I just feel bad because I think he had good momentum, and I think he's a really interesting director. But I mean, with Robert Eggers, with Ari Aster, with Jordan Peele, I think they were very Julia Ducournau, with Julia. Wait, no, Coralie Forgeot. Like I think they were very smart about their follow ups. But he,
Well, it feels like going from Myth of the American Sleepover to It Follows was very smart.
yeah,
Like that's
good point.
again same wheelhouse. And
This is his third film. Yeah,
this is also maybe those high schoolers grew up to be college or having graduated college and feeling aimless in their early to mid 20s.
yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if it was the last one. One of the last ones we did on this we did Shithouse, right? And like that into Cha Cha Real Smooth makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of follows like burnout, lost, scared young college student becomes not really sure what I want to do as a young adult kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, right? Like that tracks. This kind of does, in a way, track. I don't think it's as direct as Sleepover to It Follows, but maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just feel bad when original art fails. Like this, they put so much
Yeah.
work, and it boggles my mind. This is the eighth time I've said it, but this movie only cost 8 million, and not much was spent on its marketing. So I don't know why it was met with like you can't make another movie again unless it's a sequel to It Follows. Like that kind of blows my mind. And like A24 kind of dumped it. Have they even promoted it since? Have they done anything for it?
Well, like what's weird to me is that like I have an addiction to the A24 shop and I basically buy everything that they put out. And like I have not bought Beau is Afraid because they have not released, but like there's just like a regular Blu-ray floating around there. And I'm like, at some point, they're gonna do like a beautiful big box set of it, or like their like big book thingy with the Blu-ray. But like they haven't, and that movie came out like a year and a half ago. And you and I were talking about, I think, a
That's an
year or two
unwieldy
ago,
movie that I love, though. I love that
like
movie, but it's so unwieldy.
Spring Breakers. I keep, they had the 10th anniversary last year, and they put out like T-shirts and stuff, but they haven't like they've never really re-released that. And I don't know if it's a rights thing. I don't know if it's like a profitability thing. I don't know, but it feels like again they have so many different options that they're like, well, now we're gonna put out like blueberry smelling candles for Heretic. That's what we're focusing on. And then we got Baby Girl, so we're gonna do Baby Girl stuff. It's like, okay, sure,
They could do that though. They could come back with. I guarantee if they did some Under the
sure.
Silver Lake stuff, it would sell. Like, why
I
not? Why not love your back catalog? Like, why not make your back catalog cool? Even though I really like Heretic.
I really don't know like how big the A24 team is. Like I get the sense that it's
Yeah,
big, but I also don't know that it's like that big, that big.
they better be because the Safdie brothers are making two movies that have pretty big budgets for them. The two highest budget movies they've made, the Smashing Machine and the other one. I mean, I'm sure most of the Smashing Machine budget goes to Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson, but they need to be selling some candles, I guess. Like, is that? I guess that's what sells, though. I don't know. I guess for every move, like they're trying to. I don't know. I hope they don't canon films themselves, Joey. Where you're like you have a really good business model, but then you start making really expensive sequels to Superman, and then you just can't afford it anymore. Is that going to happen at A24?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I do wonder like so like A24 for a while was like inextricably linked with Annapurna, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Annapurna founded by billionaire or at least daughter of a billionaire, Megan Ellison. But like they haven't really made that many movies and A24 is like double down. So but like when they put one out together, like Spring Breakers or The Bling Ring or whatever else they did together, just like these are really good. I don't know. I also
Annapurna,
think like the
didn't
other
they
thing to keep in
spend 50
mind,
million on the master? Didn't they? Is Annapurna the one who put out the
yeah,
master?
I think so.
That was a huge budget, and they did like the lady just gave him a check. I love it so much.
I think the thing to keep in mind though is that like making a movie and then releasing a movie is really hard.
Yeah, very
The
hard.
fact that any movie gets done, that we can see anything, feels like a miracle.
Yeah, I mean A24. They've built a beautiful brand, and but also too. I mean, you look at anything like even Supreme. Like Supreme is still cool, but like Supreme was cool in the '90s. Like when it was the kids, like it was cool. But then when it becomes mainstream, I don't think it's cool anymore. So it's impossible. Like nothing gold can last. Like like Pony Boy, um, like nothing gold can stay. Like I think there has to be a time when you can't. Can you be the cool indie darling for your entire run? I don't think you can.
Not if you're successful.
Yeah, exactly. So I think A24 just has to make that transition.
Well, like is like who's the new A24? Is it Neon? But even Neon's been around too long. They're like successful enough.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
Neon.
there are title cards that you see, you're like, oh, here we go. Right? Like it's like this is I'm in good hands when you see a title card come up before a movie.
I feel like Neon's kind of winning right now, though. I would say. with like what long legs, Honora, like
Uh-huh.
the like robot dreams,
Uh-huh.
like immaculate did well. I think. Do you think they're the cool kids in town now?
Yeah.
Oh, and the seed of a sacred fig. I got a screener for that. I need to watch it. Thanks for reminding me, Joey. But but also they put out How to Blow Up a Pipeline, Infinity Pool, Sanctuary, Anatomy of a Fall. I don't know. They're really good at curating films, but I think A24 is going to have to, if they want to start putting out $90 million movies, they really probably got to lean on horror.
Well, the Blumhouse thing, right? Like
Yeah,
it's find a movie that costs you $250,000 that can make $90 million and can finance the rest of your year.
exactly. And I think Heretic is going to make some good money. They've had other films come out this year that did
I
well.
I think the difference is it is much easier to finance a promising young talent who needs $5 million for a movie than the third movie from a guy who's already made you a bunch of money. Like, and not necessarily just A24, but like you have Damien Chazelle who has made Whiplash and won Oscars, and La La Land won even more Oscars, and then like I'm gonna make Babylon. It's like, well, that's gonna cost more money.
Yeah, a lot
I
more
don't know.
money. Do you, okay, do you think it was self-indulgent on his part making this film?
No, I don't
Like,
think so.
so like, but here's the thing: if it was $50 million, I would say so. But I think 8 million, no.
Well, what you were saying before about like this movie wouldn't have made 40, would have made 30. Like if it made $12 million, even if they throw like even if like you know what I mean? Like you
Mm-hmm.
throw a couple $1 million into marketing, like you're still making money. It might not be worth it in the like EBITDA of it all. Ask Paulie Walnuts about that. But like $8 million for a movie that looks this good feels like a steal.
Yeah. And if anything, this should be marketed for the shirts, like the way that the animals are laid out, spell out certain words, and just the production design and how they were able to, where they filmed, they could walk across a golf course to one part where the invasion of the bystanders were. They could walk. They kept it really close. When they painted, like when they went into certain sets, some of the pets had sets had just been painted, so you could still smell the paint. Like they did a really great job of production design. I mean, there's some iconic wardrobes in this, and I not iconic, but there's some beautiful wardrobe work in this. The Riley Keough pool scene is just filmed gorgeously. It, I guess, you know what's interesting too, but you watch the beginning of it. You have the naked bird lady, then you have like the sex scene where the lady's naked, he's not, and then like, well, yeah, I guess you have some Garfield butt. Like it does go heavy on the voyeuristic aspect in the beginning. It takes a while for the journey to begin and to kind of be like, do you think some people have just turned off by then?
Yeah, probably. But I think they also like I saw at least one person on Letterboxd say, I don't like how women are portrayed in here, even though that might be the point. It's like, well, if you're smart enough to know like that's the point, like maybe think about like what that means. And don't say, I don't like the way that they're portrayed, because I would also guess that David Robert Mitchell doesn't like the way that they're portrayed. But like you could say, I don't like that as a message. I don't know. It's just like I don't think he's like a misogynist. I don't think that you would have all these actresses.
No, dude, David Robert Mitchell? No, not at all.
No, right? Like, so I think that there is like an ignorance to being like, I mean, I think it is like it's a young man's fantasy, but it's also like the whole movie's like, this shouldn't be your fantasy.
Like never once. I mean, I got this movie before I even researched it. I watch it because I think when you do a lot of research beforehand, you can get swayed how you view it.
Hmm.
But I never like, like the guy's a skunk. Even when he's bathing, he still smells.
Also, by the
Um,
way, if you get sprayed, PSA, don't wear those clothes into your house.
yeah.
I got sprayed 4 years ago. Okay, this actually ties into the A24. I was walking around my neighborhood at night and I was just like, listening to a podcast or whatever. I'm like looking around and I see someone watching Spring Breakers. And I get out my phone to text somebody. I'm like, hey, look what I saw. And then like I put my phone in the back of my pocket and I look up and there's a skunk there. And I immediately jump
And you
over
got
because it's like
nailed.
it's in front of me. And he sprayed and it caught like the corner of my shoe. I like the rest of me was fine. I threw those shoes out. I also left them outside. and I still smell bad. He gets sprayed full on and then wears those clothes into his apartment.
Yeah.
Bad idea. Don't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. And that's good advice. Good life advice from Joey L.
Like you
Um,
gotta throw all those clothes out outside and then I don't know, find like you're in LA, go to the beach or something, like find like an outdoor shower and then only then go inside. Like I don't know.
this movie just goes, I don't know. I do think it's fine. You know, you can understand what someone's going for and not like it. I get that. But I don't think you can. I don't think he's misogynistic. I don't think you get Mamet. I don't think you get some of these like you know, Riley Keough takes care of business. Like she knows what's up. Like, and you're a big fan of hers too. I was looking at your top of list, and
Oh,
you
I
have
love
like
her.
American Honey on there. Like she's down for whatever. Like Andrew Garfield, he knows what an image is. Like he's not. I don't think he ever stepped into this. And like, you know, I think maybe on set, all of them are like, yes, this guy's a voyeur. And we are watching through the eyes of a voyeur, a lazy voyeur who just smokes, has no money, is just very, I don't even know how he has such a nice apartment. Just not a good dude. And I think everyone knew that on set, but I don't think a lot of people knew that when they watched it because they didn't really give it a chance. But also, it takes a while to get into that. So it's, this movie flummoxes me. And I've talked in circles, but this movie goes in circles. I think you broke me on this one, Joey, because I don't know how
Good.
to. Because here's the thing, I admire it, but I also think it's a misfire. But I'm happy it exists. But I don't think it was ever meant for success, and it was kind of bound to fail. But I
Do you
don't
think it's a
think.
good movie or do you like I mean, I don't know if this matters, but like objectively, do you think it's a good movie? Not do you like it, but do you think it's well made? Do you think it's
Yes,
like
yeah. I mean, listen, the cinematography, the performances, the way it's put together. I think it's a good mystery. It is a good film. Um, but it's just very unwieldy.
yeah, but I think
And
that's by design, right? Like
no,
it's got to be by
on
design.
purpose. And I think people like you and I can appreciate that. We want, you know, I crave new entertainment. Like you know, when that Mark Wahlberg movie came out where he's a samurai, I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life because it's like it's brand new. Like this is a stupid idea. He's sword fighting Chitwell Ejiofor on a cargo airplane after riding a dirt bike off a Scottish hill onto a plane. Like I'm like this is me. This is the greatest day of my life. So I mean, I want new entertainment. Like I appreciated what it was going for. I liked the performances, and I think it builds to something worthwhile. I guess I just have, I just I totally understand why it failed.
Sure.
That's probably more succinct than anything I've said this entire episode.
I will say the other thing I want to mention, which is it's something that I realized, is that this movie is prescient in that when Millicent Sevens goes to that rooftop party and people are like, does she know that her dad was just found in a car? Like, that's very much my dad is in a submersible under the sea somewhere,
Yes,
but I have Blink
yes,
182 tickets and I really need to go to that concert.
yeah. That I mean, people burying themselves in concrete and then that submersible blowing up. I mean, this movie is right, and it has a lot of things to say about the treatment of people of Hollywood and how fickle it is.
Well, like I said, I sent you a list of like 50 movies that I love, and we're just slowly working through them.
Yeah.
Like any movie you pick off there, I'm gonna love. It's not like there's movies on there that I'm just like, oh, I want to talk about, but I'm just curious. Like, no, they're all movies that I love. So
What's great about Under the Silver Lake is we can talk about it. Like, there's some movies that are so straightforward and bland that you just have nothing to say. And it's like, yeah, it was good. I think with this one though, it's really fun to explore, and it's fun to go look at the Reddit pages, and it's fun to think about like why it was delayed and why it didn't do well and the director's jail. There's so many interesting narratives. It's almost like the movie itself in regards to how it was made and how it was released. So I mean, you could even look for conspiracy theories there. So I think it's been a very interesting experience for me. So anytime I can have that, anytime I can think about movies, anytime I can have something interesting plopped in my lap from someone giving me a list about podcast episodes, I'm happy. Like I'm very happy I watched this again. I'm very happy I researched it. I'm very happy to like that. But it's been some movies I just want out of my headspace. I really do. Like after the episode's over, I'm like, I'm never thinking about this movie ever again. But this one I think will linger around for a while. And I really appreciate that.
good. I'm glad. I've seen this movie 3 times now. I watched it, when it crossed my desk in 2018. Then I watched it a couple years later. Then I watched it again, last night. So I love it. Like it's long. It's not a movie that I could watch over and over again, but I think that there is a lot to love about it.
Hopefully you don't think that I'm like having a go at it. Like I,
No.
okay.
Also, like I'm not going to be offended by. Look, you could hate anything. It's fine. I do a podcast with Joe. Joe hates a lot of things that I love, and like lets me know about it. It's fine.
Oh man. Anything else before we get out of here?
Is there anything else that I want to say? I
He
love
hates
Riley
everything.
Keough. I like Ricky Lindholm a lot. Support your local bookstores. Go buy local zines, even if they're written by crazy dudes.
Yeah, Ricky was had an interesting role in this one.
Yeah. I think she's also like a, I think she's more of like a joke, like the butt of a joke about like, look how insane young actors are. They'll like show up like dressed like a German in later hosen and then dress up like a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but no, go watch the movie. Is it streaming for free? Probably not.
No,
It's
I
on
bought.
Canopy. Oh, it's on Canopy.
Okay, I bought it just to get all
I
the
have the
extras and
Blu-ray,
stuff.
so I'm like
And
this is one that like Myth of the American Sleepover not available to buy. Like it's there's a DVD that's like hard to find. There's no Blu-ray.
watch
I'm
that
glad
one
that this
too.
exists.
And then watch It Follows. Hey, where can people find you, Joey?
Go to cavesclub.me/Joey. Find all the shows that I'm on. The big one is that every Tuesday, Too Fast, Too Forever. Joe and I watch the Fast and Furious movies, and we're watching this current lap that we're doing is the Oops. We should have covered that already. You're going to be on, by the time this comes out, you'll have already been on. We're doing Thrashin', because we talked
Ooh.
about so many other 80s action movies, and I'm like, not action movies, like 80s extreme sports movies. So I'm like, we got to talk about Thrashin'. So Thrashin' will be out. And then every other Thursday, I do a book podcast called How to Win the Lottery. Um, Not really on social much anymore, but I'm at Soul Pop just about everywhere. But just go to cavesclub.me, poke around, bunch of
I,
shows.
I
Mark's on a bunch
really
of them.
I really don't want to do social anymore. But I
It's
kind of
just like, I DM'd you on Twitter. I was just like, hey, I'm not deleting Twitter, but I am not going to spend much time on here. And here's my phone number. And you texted me, and it's good.
now we're texting buds.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. And I hope that people found all 11 codes that we embedded into this episode.
It was all planned. I guarantee it. All right. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Joey Lewandowski, this is Movie Films and Flicks. We'll see you next week.